Now you can listen to Wine and Dine Radio while shopping at the grocery store or your neighborhood wine merchant. Wine and Dine Radio can be heard using your wireless internet on your cell phone. You're listening to iWineRadio. iWineRadio is a production of Food Tastes Better with Wine on the web at iWineRadio.com. Hey guys, I thank you for listening to iWineRadio, and we are still the only wine channel on iTunes Radio. If you go look under iTunes Radio icon and scroll down to News and Talk Directory, and it's listed alphabetically, click on that and the stream comes up immediately. iWineRadio.com, where you can find links to individual guests. And if anyone's interested in advertising or becoming an underwriter or sponsor, please contact us at iWineRadio.com. We really, really appreciate your support. The more support we get, the more conversations I can have with fascinating people around the world, including you. If you have a story to tell that you'd like to share on iWineRadio, go to iWineRadio.com and contact us, and we'll go from there.
Hi, I'm Eddie Osterland. I'm America's first Master Sommelier, and I just published a book called Power Entertaining, which is a way to impress your friends and clients by serving them food and wine in a fashion the way sommeliers do. The book is available on my website, which is www.eddieosterland.com. I'll personally sign it for you. And it's one of a kind. It's a book on how to act differently than everybody else, and I think you will attract people like magnets if you're a foodie.
Today on Wine and Dine, we get to revisit with Eddie Osterland, Master Sommelier, and the reason is that he has just released his book called Power Entertaining, Secrets to Building Lasting Relationships, Hosting Unforgettable Events, and Closing Big Deals from America's first Master Sommelier. Eddie, I don't remember who I was talking to. It was just within the last week or two, a guest that I was talking to. And I made this comment. I throw this out every once in a while, and in part because I want to see what kind of response I get from guests, that I think a lot of decision-making, as you say in your book, is made over power lunches, power dinners, and being able to command respect because you make really wise choices with respect to wine and the food. And the person I was talking to, it kind of went over their head. It didn't really mean that much. But there is tremendous psychology in entertaining and the etiquette of what happens at the table that's unspoken even for lunch and dinner.
Well, yeah, let me just start by saying, my book is a business book. It basically talks to business people who are trying to attract new clients into their businesses. And how do you prospect for new clients and build your business? Well, you might take somebody out for a round of golf. That works. You might join some fundraiser and meet some people by networking that way. But my book, Power Entertaining, is about telling people, people like to hang out with celebrities. They like to hang out with professional athletes, CEOs. Why? Because they hope something rubs off. People also like to hang out with people who do food and wine well. And the truth is, most people don't do it well. They play safe. They always order the same foods and same wines because it's safe. And I'm just saying, if you can master some of the strategies that us sommeliers use when you entertain clients or guests, either at your home and in a restaurant, it's a very powerful skill set of tools that allows you to make more connections. And, business is founded upon people who trust each other, and people do business with people they trust. And everyone loves to eat food and wine, and all you got to do is, apply my philosophies. Like, sometimes I'll sign my book, Think Like a Somm. Somm is short for sommelier. And, we have to think differently. If you come into a restaurant, I'm not in a restaurant anymore, but I was for many years. We ask you questions that help us find out who you are. Right? Do you drink wine? What do you drink? What are your favorite wines? And then we want to take you, with your permission, on a little journey, a little mini vacation from life in the restaurant. And I'm just trying to get people to get outside of their comfort zone, and instead of always having Cabernet, Chardonnay, Merlot, Pinot Grigio, and always ordering the same kinds of foods, is to think way outside the box, because you will attract people like a magnet if you do that. And that's what it's all about, is attracting people into your business because you serve them food and wine in a way or a fashion that is unlike anything they've ever seen before.
I want to kind of go through the book as you have the chapters laid out, but there's one thing I want to bring up from the beginning, which I think it's wonderful that you talk about this, that you want guests to come hungry if possible, and you don't want them to have more than 2 drinks or 2 glasses of wine before eating. Talk to us about that.
Well, here's the deal. I studied professional wine tasting in Bordeaux, France for 3 years, and all of our tastings were done at 11:30 in the morning and ended at noon, very early and very quickly. Why do you care about that? Your palate is very fragile. It doesn't stay sharp very long. It's sharp, so it'll be all day long about 11:30, but it dulls pretty quickly. It saturates, it acclimates. So you only have about 30 minutes while you're really sharp. So for that reason, I tell people, look, here's a fact. People all across the country, myself included, we don't like being hungry. We can't stand that feeling of hunger. So we're going to end it quickly. You got a dog at home, you put a bowl of food in front of it, the dog puts its head in the bowl and finishes it. The people you have over on the weekend are not much different. They're going to pummel anything you got out there. So the idea, and they're going to come up for air going, oh, Lynn, those were great. I was so famished. I just needed to take my edge off.
Yeah.
You cannot allow them to take their edge off if you're going to try to wow them and power entertain them. So the deal is this. They're going to come hungry. They always do. But don't put out the typical dips, chips, nuts, guacamole, artisanal cheeses, breads, and all that stuff, because your guests will dine on that.
Yeah.
They will eat for 30 minutes until they no longer feel too hungry, coming up for air going, thank you, that was so good. Why do it like everybody else? I'm just saying, when they come in the house, you got 15 minutes. You got a magic window of 15 minutes to rock and roll, and that's when you put in front of them some kind of egregious food and wine pairing that you love and you think will really knock their socks off. And if they come in and they haven't, been nibbling on all kinds of stuff, you're gonna own them. You're a winner. So it's very important that one of my concepts is, start with the best thing first. In this country, we build our dinners. The dinners are built with, you start with some kind of soup and then a salad. Whoever talks about the salad, Then there's some stupid thing called an intermezzo, of course, where they talk about cleansing your palate with some kind of sorbet. What a silly-ass thing that is, pardon my French.
Yeah.
But my daughter went to hotel school at Cornell. She said, Dad, that's what we put on the menu to add $7 to the bottom line. It costs us 30 cents to make.
Yes.
So the point I'm just saying, I don't mean to interrupt you, is that people build their event such that the pièce de résistance, the rack of lamb, comes an hour later. An hour later is too late. People have dined already. So the idea is turn it around, start at the end of the buffet line where the good stuff is, serve the best first, and that concept will win you over anybody.
Okay, so let's talk. And I noticed that you also, in your recommendation for menu, put the salad near the end.
Well, the French serve the salad afterwards. They all have a very small salad dressed with like a shallot vinaigrette, because the purpose for them, the salad, is to refresh, and the salad with this light vinaigrette dressing, no balsamic or anything like that, slides down your esophagus and takes all the food that's maybe not quite in your tummy yet, and it helps you digest it. That's why they serve the salad afterwards. I do events. That's what I do. I put together events for companies, and I'm a speaker. I'm a dinner speaker. And every time I put one together, I'll either say we're going to lose the salad altogether, which saves the client a whole bunch of money. No one ever talks about it, and it just fills you up. They serve way too big salads in America, and they put them before all the food. You eat a big salad, you're going to not be very hungry for the good stuff to come. So if you're going to put it in your meal at all, I like ice-cold romaine lettuce served with shallot vinaigrette after the meal, and it's very different, and it's very refreshing.
Okay, what is your definition? Well, you pretty much said your chapter 1 is my definition of power entertaining, and power entertaining compared to regular entertaining is?
Power entertaining compared to regular entertaining is that people take notice that everything you do is a little bit different than what they're used to seeing. For example, you will serve 2 wines instead of 1, because you'll have a little intellectual, discussion. If you serve one wine, there's nothing to talk about. It's a wine.
Right.
But if you serve two Pinot Noirs, and one's from Oregon and one's from California, and ask your guests which one you think's from Oregon, they're going to ask you, well, I don't know that. And you tell them, well, Oregon is 30 degrees north California. It's colder, and the grapes aren't as ripe, so they're tart and they're not as sweet. Taste the two wines. The sweet one's California, and the tart one is Oregon. And they're impressed. So I always recommend people serve wines in pairs. I have a whole chapter in the book that discusses 24 pairs that they should have. And I tell people, serve the wine before the food. Why? Everyone else serves the food, then the wine. If you serve the wine after the food, the wine becomes an afterthought. And what I mean by afterthought is a beverage. People throw it down as if it was meant to wash food down with. And if we take this further, and I can explain it to you, wine that's food-friendly and has a lot of acidity is more of a condiment or a spice.
Yes.
It's similar to squeezing lemon juice on fish or putting salt and pepper on a steak. And so, power entertaining is doing all these kind of things ahead of time. You're out at a restaurant. You've got 6 clients or 3 clients and having a great time, and it's just a wonderful experience. And also you say, it's time to go. We've had a great time. We're going to do this again. The check never came. Guess what? The check should never come, because every time the check comes, it puts the brakes on all the energy going on in the thing. You know it. The thing arrives on the middle of the table and people pretend to reach for their wallet.
Yes.
The idea is you need sommelier to think ahead. You give the guy your credit card either over the phone or before you come in, or you're at the restaurant 15 minutes before your guests arrive, and you tell them, here, put 25% tip on. No, not 20. 25 is what gets you VIP service. It's all done. This is what power entertaining is. This is where having foods and wines that people have never had before, even if they have to be special ordered and they're not on the menu. I have a whole chapter in a book about you want to impress somebody with food. Where are you going to find it? At Whole Foods on Friday night before your dinner party? No. Everybody's fishing from that pond. You're not going to find anything unique. How are you going to find something unique? You buy it online. And I've got a whole chapter in there on foodie websites where you can buy stuff online without driving your car anywhere, and it's shipped to you overnight. And you got cool stuff.
So power entertaining is very much about thinking ahead and supreme attention to detail.
It is. It's mostly thinking ahead.
Okay.
It's just going, people come over to your house and they're eating some shellfish, and they go, Jesus, Lynn, this is great. What are these things? And you say, well, those are percebes. And they go, what? Well, it's a mollusk from Portugal. Really? Where did you get it, Lynn? Portugal. If they have to ask, the answer is FedEx.
Yeah.
You bought it online.
Yeah.
And then they say to themselves, well, God, you must have had to do that 3 days ago to do this. Well, yeah, you don't say anything. Of course you did. You had to think of it way ahead of time. Everybody else does everything at the last minute,
right?
Because that's our society.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking way ahead of the people, which is a game. It's a game I play with my clients or my friends, and they can't figure me out. When they go to my house, they have no idea what Eddie's going to do, because he's going to serve you something you've never had before, some wine you probably never had before, and don't try to figure them out.
When we come back for the second course here, Eddie, I want to start you off with Chapter 3, 20 Secrets of Successful Power Entertaining, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Okay, we will be right back, and we thank you for listening to Wine and Dine. We are continuing our conversation with Eddie Osterland, America's first Master Sommelier. He is an internationally acclaimed expert in the culinary arena of food and wine. And right now I have in front of me a copy of his just released book called Power Entertaining: Secrets to Building Lasting Relationships, Hosting Unforgettable Events, and Closing Big Deals, from America's first Master Sommelier. And I'd like to focus on Chapter 3, called 20 Secrets of Successful Entertaining. And as Eddie said at the beginning, he wrote this this is not for necessarily food and wine people. This is for people who are interested in increasing their business bottom line and for developing new clients and new leads. And so 20 Secrets of Successful, number 1, think of power entertaining as a business development strategy. Eddie.
Yeah, well, as I've talked to you before, it's very important to make impressions upon people because they like you or they don't. And people do business with people that they like. Everybody likes to eat food and wine, but most people serve the same old things. And learning how to power entertain means learning how to think outside the box. I hate that phrase, but it works. And, you know, in the chapters, I just kind of show people, here's all the thoughts, procedures that go on in my mind when some client says, look, I got a big dinner event that I've got to do, and we do it every year, but we've got to do it better this year. So I tell them, okay, here's how we're going to do it. Here's the way I want you to think. And it involves all kinds of things, and there's like 20 tips in there that you can pick out some of the ones you want to discuss. But
yeah, okay. So this is interesting. Engage a sommelier or wine merchant to help you plan your. But you also say, and I don't remember if it's in this chapter, actually get a professional involved with your event, even at the event, as potentially even a guest speaker.
Oh, I have a chapter in here called Your New Best Friend, the Sommelier. There's a movie coming out on June 21st called Somm, S-O-M-M. And everybody's got to see that. It's all about 4 guys trying to take the Master Sommelier exam over 3 years, and it's quite something. But you know, we just want you to think like a somm and perform that way. You know, what exactly what were your question there again?
Well, that people could maybe even engage a sommelier as a guest speaker.
Yeah. Well, as a guest speaker, or more importantly, where we were going there was bonding with the somm. If you're going to go out to a restaurant and you get suppose you've got 4 or 6 important clients, and you've got a reservation at 8:00 at the best restaurant in the city you're in, and you think you got it made. Well, you know what? You're one of 50 or 60 people who's got a reservation at 8:00, and every one of them needs attention right away as soon as they walk in. And someone's first and someone's last. And the people who get dealt first either are regulars or are known, and if you're not known, get known. And how do you do that? Go to a restaurant that has a sommelier and pay them up front. Tip them up front. Go meet them a week or 2 in advance and tell them, this is important. I've got to make this stuff work. What can you do to make me a VIP and my people feel special? And when you start front-loading these people with money, $20 bills work real well, and you start to bond and have chemistry with them. Don't go in there and just try to make it happen.
Right.
Go in, learn, meet a man or a woman, and find out if they like you. And if they do, and they're on your team, you're number one. And that's the way to do it. Use the sommelier and leverage their expertise. You don't need to know anything about wine.
Yeah.
You take their knowledge and have them work for you.
I like the fact that you recommend as tip 5, kick the evening off with champagne before you serve any food.
Well, Americans drink champagne twice a year. New Year's, somebody's birthday, maybe a wedding. They only associate it with special occasions. Therefore, every time you start any event, it should start with bubbles just because it makes people feel special.
Tip 11, always warm your whites and chill your reds before serving them.
Very simple thing here. Temperature is critical. In red wine, it does not taste balanced, which means the sugar-acid balance. There's a lot of acidity in wine and some tannins that are bitter. They can't possibly taste balanced unless the wine has enough fruitiness or sweetness to do that. And a wine doesn't taste fruity or sweet at room temperature. Alcohol at room temperature in the wine, alcohol is 13 to 15%, burns in the aftertaste. We call it the wine as a hot finish. If you take your wine, your favorite wine you have, pour yourself a glass. You put the same wine in the refrigerator for 20 minutes. You take it out, you pour a second glass, and you taste those 2 wines side by side, or you serve your husband or somebody else those 2 wines and say, which one do you like? 90% of the people are going to like the chilled one, thinking it's a different wine.
Yeah.
So you need to chill your red wines a bit. Always serve your red wines slightly chilled. And white wines, when you go to a restaurant, are way too cold. They should be out of the refrigerator and on the table for 10 or 20 minutes before you serve them, if they're good. You know, if they're cheap wines, no. But if they're good wines, they don't have any nose if they're frozen cryogenically down there with the kegs of beer where they're kept.
Yeah.
They have no aroma whatsoever. So warm your whites, chill your reds.
Become knowledgeable about wine and food etiquette.
Well, there's all kinds of things, that can be talked about there. But, I mean, basically, there's a chapter in there called Power Tools.
Yeah.
Power Tools are the subtle little distinctions that set you apart from others. For example, decanters. You should decant all red wines. Why? Don't worry about whether it's going to breathe or whether you're getting sediment. It's theater. It's drama. Nobody else does that. A couple of years ago, somebody invented this little Venturi spinnerator thing that people pour the wine through because they don't have time to decant. What do you mean you don't have time to decant? You own a couple of decanters, because I like you to serve 2 wines at a time, that side-by-side pair, and you come out of your kitchen with 2 decanters of wine. Why? Because almost no one else does. Don't put it through some spinnerator like that's impressive. It's not impressive. It's better than nothing. There's no question about it.
Yeah.
But it's for people who do that because they say, well, I don't have time to decant the thing an hour before. Why not?
And some people get off on gadgets. And I love your idea about give people souvenirs to take home.
Well, lots of times. It's always fun to have people take away something. One of the things that Power Entertaining does is teach somebody something about wine when they have them over. Instead of just serving them wine and food and getting them up to altitude, they do, by serving 2 wines side by side, they go, hey, look, here's a Chablis and here's a Premier Cru Chablis. Do you know the difference? And you teach them that. I guarantee you those people within 60 days are going to have somebody over at their house doing just what you did, serving them Premier Cru Chablis or Grand Cru Chablis, because you taught them how. You might want to give them wine openers. There's a really cool wine opener called Quick Click that opens like a switch plate. It's really novel. And it's on my website. They're for sale. They're like $20. But they're so special, and you can actually have them branded with company logos. You give somebody a bottle of wine for a gift, it's drunk one night. No one remembers you anyway.
Right.
These openers are branded with your logo. They're around for 5 years, and it costs the same as a bottle of wine. So it's these kinds of gifts and things that I love to talk about, and there's a lot of. There's glassware, for example. Most people don't have a dozen nice glassware. Why? I don't know. Maybe they're afraid they'll break them. Yeah, they can break, but you don't wash them the same night. You wash them the next morning, you won't break them.
Right,
won't break them.
Okay, I'm going to list off the other chapters so that to give mention to them, but then I want to ask you something else before we're out of time here. So you have so many wines, so little time. Taste wine like the masters do. You teach people how to taste. Out of the kitchen closet, coming out as a foodie, Power Entertaining at home, masterminds from wine geek to wine expert. And then you have several appendices, which include websites to be buying wine from, websites to be buying food from. This is very much a business teaching and entertaining teaching book. But let's finish on the note of I love being outrageous. Talk to us about this great party. And it must have been a birthday party.
Oh, wow, that was, I hope you got a few minutes. I'll do it real quickly. It's interesting. I had a client who said, hey, we want to book you as a dinner speaker. And he said, here's the deal. We don't want to pay your daily rate because we're an airline company. We want to trade you 3 hours in a jet. And I said to myself, I don't need 3 hours in a jet. I said, no, I don't want that. I said, well, that's the deal. I thought about it for a day. I called him back. I said, I just thought about a way to use a 3-hour jet ride. So I took it. And what I did was, this was called the element of surprise. I did a surprise birthday party for myself. And I picked all my friends up in a limo, and I said, dress up. We're going downtown. We're going to have some nice food and wine. And I took them downtown in this limo, and we stopped at some god-awful beer parlors and restaurants. We didn't even go in. I told them we didn't find our name on the reservation book. And all of a sudden, these guys were so frustrated, and all of a sudden they wound up at the airport in this jet on a way to Vegas. And the story's in the book, and they flipped out. They couldn't believe it.
I love that story. Power Entertaining author Eddie Osterland, America's first Master Sommelier. We thank you so very much for your time this week on Wine and Dine.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
We will have links up for you to learn more and order the book. Now you can listen to Wine and Dine Radio while shopping at the grocery store or your neighborhood wine merchant. Wine and Dine Radio can be heard using your wireless internet on your cell phone. You're listening to iWineRadio. iWineRadio is a production of Food Tastes Better with Wine on the web at iWineRadio.com. Hey guys, I thank you for listening to iWineRadio, and we are still the only wine channel on iTunes Radio. If you go look under iTunes radio icon and scroll down to news and talk directory, and it's listed alphabetically, click on that and the stream comes up immediately. iWineRadio.com, where you can find links to individual guests. And if anyone's interested in advertising or becoming an underwriter or sponsor, please contact us at iWineRadio.com. We really, really appreciate your support. The more support we get, the more conversations I can have with fascinating people around the world, including you. if you have a story to tell that you'd like to share on iWine Radio, go to iWineRadio.com and contact us, and we'll go from there.